Well, hey everybody, I'm Audrey Wise with Journey Realty Group here in the Western North Carolina mountains. And today I have with me Paul Donohue, who is with Mutual of Omaha. And I'm going to let him introduce himself and tell us a little bit about yourself, Paul.
Well, hi, Audrey. Thank you for so much for having me. I'm a retirement mortgage specialist and work with people who are either planning for retirement or already in retirement and looking at securing the home and their housing needs. And I work with realtors and financial advisors to provide housing wealth and home equity solutions for today's incredibly challenging retirement strategies that people need to deal with. And so it's an exciting time in this business. There's a mass amount of people who are retiring, and it's people like yourself who understand that when you're buying your forever home or you're buying a home in retirement, you really want to be thoughtful about that purchase and how you allocate your resources. And that's where you and I work together in those aspects.
Yes, and it's important for people my age and the boomers and beyond, as you say, to be able to keep some cash liquid. Yet a lot of my clients are they're ready to buy their next home. Some of them feel like it's going to be their forever home, others not so much. But either way, they're all wanting to pay cash and they do not want to have a mortgage. So, what would you say? I think you have a product that is specifically for boomers and beyond people. And why don't you tell us a little bit about that product? I think it's
Well,
called
yeah,
Lifestyle Home Loan, I believe.
yes, it's Mutual of Omaha has a purchase money loan program that is related to the home equity conversion mortgage for purchasing. Most people don't know about this loan program, and our proprietary product is called the Lifestyle Home Loan. And we're very excited to share it. And, it's really about why it's important and what it does that is so critical. And so we appreciate the opportunity to talk about it because central to somebody's home and their family life, as central as that is, home equity management, which is what we're talking about, is to your finances and your future security. And so mortgage planning, housing wealth strategies are really about integrating a person's home life with their finances and how to most effectively sustain and pay for those aspects of somebody's life. And when they're heading into retirement to buy a retirement home, you really need to be very, very smart about the allocation of your resources. And that's what we talk about with our customers, with our home buyers, is what's the best way to pay for this.
Mhm.
And before you do, before you think you know the best strategy, it's better to gather as much information as you can about what your options are.
That's right. And we talked a little bit the other day when we met about having cash being liquid. And as people age and as they get into that, from retirement and beyond, people are living so much longer these days and they're going to need access to cash most likely. And so that's one of the benefits of this lifestyle home loan. I know there's,
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. And so let's talk just a little bit about how it works and then talk about what it does.
okay.
So the lifestyle home loan allows somebody who is age 62 or better to make a one-time down payment. All right. So you take that cash buyer, right, who's coming into town and wants to put down 600 or $700,000 on a purchase.
Right.
And what this program does is allows them to retain some of those cash resources by making a one-time down payment. Now, the critical element, there's several. One of them is it's age-based.
Mhm.
So you can take a buyer and they can make a one-time down payment of anywhere from 50 to 65%, and then live in that home for as long as they want to. They can live in there forever if they choose to. They can sell it whenever they need to, and there's never a required mortgage payment.
No
So
payment.
just like any homeowner, who's
Okay.
buying a house, whether you're financing it or you're paying cash, the homeowner is always responsible for paying for property taxes and homeowners insurance. And if there's HOA dues, they have to pay those things.
Right.
However, this loan never requires a monthly mortgage payment. And that frees up that cash flow and it preserves a portion of their nest egg for future use.
That's amazing. That
Yeah.
really is
Yeah.
amazing. So there,
It's
I know that the questions would be, okay, well, how does that work in the end? When does that get paid back? If
yes. Yes. And that's one of the big questions is how does this mortgage loan work? Well, underneath it, the foundational piece is that the lender has a primary lien on the property, just like any mortgage.
Mhm.
We're not on title to the property, so the homeowner and their heirs completely control the asset, control the property, right?
Right?
Big difference between the lifestyle home loan and a traditional conventional loan is simply how the loan is paid back. And the loan is paid back, required to be paid back after the last remaining borrower leaves the home permanently. All right. So the payments are deferred until the home is sold. The borrowers leave the home is sold, and then the loan is paid off then. So there's no required monthly payments, which allows them, obviously, a lot more cash flow and a lot more liquidity while they're living in the home.
Exactly. That could be such a great tool for anybody who needs, to keep their cash liquid like that. And most people will need that.
Well, you touched on it. Retirement has changed,
Right.
right? You know, radically it's changed over the last 20, 30 years. Right now, if you're 65 in reasonably good health, you're likely to be 20, 30 years in retirement, life after work. And so it's really all about cash preservation. And I would like to make this one statement for your listeners to really ponder because success in retirement, financial success now in retirement, will always be directly proportional to how much net spendable cash flow you control. So, cash preservation is going to be critical. And
Mhm.
so, when somebody comes to you and says, we're going to pay cash, that gives me great pause because that may not be the most effective use of those cash assets.
Right. Well, especially if they have other goals. I know for people who have just retired, they're living a fairly active lifestyle and a lot of them want to travel. I know for myself, I mean, if when I retire, I'm going to want to be traveling and even if I could pay a lot of cash for a home, I wouldn't necessarily want to do that because I would want to save some of that for some of these other goals and dreams that I have, you know?
Yes, and what you're touching on is really the three big L's in retirement, and that is legacy, lifestyle, and liquidity. And
Mhm.
so, what kind of legacy, if you've got grandchildren, you want to spend time with them. We just did a loan for somebody who wants to take $25,000 a year for the next 5 years while they're active and
Right.
take all the grandchildren to these world destinations and do these memorable, and that's legacy.
Yeah,
You want to provide your legacy with the warm hand and spend time with the people that you love. Well, that you got to finance that, right? How are you
exactly.
going to pay for that? And then you have lifestyle, which is how do you want to live? What kind of activities you want to be involved in, and how you're going to pay for the lifestyle that you want. And then, of course, liquidity is the answer to those two big questions is what kind of lifestyle and what kind of legacy do we want to have in life after work?
I love that. I love that. And then what about we talked a little bit before this meeting as well about another benefit of somebody coming to this area from another part of the country. And we talked about them having one kind of lifestyle where they're living now, and then coming to our area to the Western North Carolina mountains could be a little bit of a difference in price point. How can this loan help that buyer?
Okay, very good. So let's take two distinct situations, right? So you've got somebody coming into the Southern Highlands of North Carolina. They've been planning to come here for years, and they come here for the beauty and for the lifestyle, and they come here and find out the inventory is very limited and it can be expensive depending on where you're coming from. If you're coming from Southern California or Connecticut, our lifestyle is very reasonable. If you're coming from Pittsburgh or Akron, Ohio, it's pretty expensive. And so let's take the cash buyer who has $450,000, right? They've sold their home, they've got $450,000. Depending on their age, they can make a one-time down payment of that $450,000, and you can show them houses for $650 or $700 or $750. So you're expanding the inventory and you're moving somebody from a house that they have to settle for because of limited funds into the dream home they really want. And that's the beauty of just really being able to move up and expand the inventory. And this loan, this lifestyle home loan, can do that for them.
That's a wonderful option for them. So what would you say to the person who is just adamant about being debt-free and paying cash for everything?
That's a great subject, and it's a big topic, right? And you could come at that because there's many different thoughts on that. So there's a couple of things to clarify, right? A lot of people who want to pay cash don't understand that there's a third option. So they're coming into the idea that, well, I can pay cash or I can go get traditional conventional financing. They don't know about this third option. And so then when somebody comes to me like that, I'll simply ask them, why do you want to pay cash? And they will typically just answer what? When you ask them that question, what do they say?
They say, I don't want to have a mortgage. I don't want to have any debt.
Yeah, you don't want a mortgage. And then I'll go, well, wait a minute. There's a concept called leverage that you've been utilizing for the last 40 years in home ownership through a mortgage. Now, why is it that you don't want to have a mortgage? So I ask the follow-up question, and then they say what?
They say, I don't want a mortgage payment.
There you go. So now we're into the debt piece. So there's a couple ways to look at debt. Most people are concerned about debt payments. All right. They don't want to carry a mortgage payment into retirement. They're going from life to life after work. They're making a huge transition and they've got to make their money last. And they don't want to take on any debt payments. That's a smart thing. However, this loan allows them to preserve a portion of their capital without taking on a debt payment. So somebody who's coming to the Asheville area or the mountain region and they want to pay $700,000 and put it down cash. I don't want a mortgage payment. I'm going to take 40 years of accumulating housing wealth and I'm going to plunk it down so I don't have a mortgage payment. And what I would say to you is there's a third option here. There may be a better way. Why don't you put down 500, never have a mortgage payment, and preserve that 200,000 because they're financing that loan with cash, right? So concept here that I want to introduce for your listeners, and that is there's a difference between a liability and a debt. So most people throw debt payments into one bucket. However, let's talk about that. A debt is a loan that you take out that can only be paid back with future earnings. A credit card is a debt. You borrow the money now, you're deferring the payment, but you got to pay it with future earnings. That's a debt.
Right.
A liability is very different. A liability is a loan that you take out that can be paid off with the underlying asset. You can sell the house and pay off the debt. Doesn't come out of earnings. It comes out of the asset that you have the liability against.
Comes out of the equity built into the home.
And so that's that concept of home equity planning is crucial. And to just kind of wrap up this section that you want to talk about here, and that is that in retirement, it's a different psychology, right? There's no do-overs. After you leave work, right? If I said to your listener right here, I said, all right, you're going to retire in 30 days, and whatever you have saved has got to last the rest of your life. How would that feel?
It's pretty scary to a lot of people.
The biggest fear, there's two fears that people have in life after work. And that is number one, running out of money, and number two, losing their independence. This lifestyle home loan preserves critical cash resources and secures the home forever. It's a retirement mortgage loan that people need to take a look at.
Yes, I love that. And I love that you are so familiar with this particular group demographic of people. And I just love how you talk with people and how you work with people. And if any of my clients or any of the listeners out there wanted to get in touch with you and discuss this in detail, what would be the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Well, I would say give me a buzz, call me, let's talk, because these loans need to be customized to your situation. I'm a planner. We need to be very strategic about your situation and what your hopes are. So I'm at 336-254-3027. And you can grab my email and website off the screen, but it's 336-254-3027. And I look forward to engaging in a conversation.
Yes, I'm thrilled. I hope I can send you some clients in the future and that we can work together. That would be awesome. And thank you so much for your time today and for explaining this wonderful new product.
Thank you, Audrey. Appreciate the opportunity.
All right, talk to you soon.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.